wood chips, and probably, like cedar bark or something, from Home Depot, but I don't see other,
They use
but I don't see, something from San Jose, I don't see something from you on the market is what I'm getting at.
So,
I might be interested.
so if you go to material yards around here,
Yeah.
you go to, we have a material chart. I have 70 different products. I have 26 of them that I make myself. But some of them are virgin products like river rock and sand and gravel and things like that, and a couple mulches. So I'm no different than Home Depot in a sense. But there's material yards in the county that use our materials, our compost and our mulches. You say Rockery, South Bay Materials.
You're not dyeing your mulch?
Yes.
Or you are?
We have ones we dye and we have ones we don't dye.
Yeah, I don't want that.
We have ones that we don't dye. And by the way, the dye is all, it's not toxic. In some cases it's organic on a couple of them, and the others, we don't tell people this. Some of it is organic, some of it's not. But try to get this, you get it mixed up, and then everybody's mad at you, so we just don't even bring it up. But they're all natural, I would say. All right. Boy, I'm getting off on tangents here.
Yeah.
So, one of the other problems, and we're going to see this here, is the trickle-down effect. We're going to see our diversion rates in San Jose lowered by about 20%. We have a mandate to hit 75%. Statewide, we have a goal in San Jose to hit zero waste. That's going to be really hard to do if we lose 20% of that ability. We're going to also see a lot more illegal dumping, especially in the rural areas. And you get illegal dumping, right behind you get increased burning, open burning. So there's not a lot of good things. Brian Dolly, and he sponsored AB 590 in 2015 to use greenhouse gas funds to help support the industry, the biomass industry. It did not go anywhere. There's no greenhouse gas funds used anywhere in the state in 2015. And then we end up with, of course, lots of fires because of the drought situation. So in 2015, we had 6,300 fires in Cal Fire. I don't know how we're doing this. I don't know how much more problems we're having. I do know, however, that the forests, I was up in Mono County this weekend, and you just want to cry. 99 million dead trees in the city. And it's going to get worse because we've already had the blight going on, we're dying, we're stressed out, and a lot of them are still going to be years to come. So what the Governor Brown did was an emergency proclamation. It was issued in October 2015 to deal with the tree mortality. He required the California Public Utility Council to do everything in its power to extend contracts to biomass plants. So there's some of those biomass plants that are going to close. And to focus the biomass plants in their high hazard zones in the Sierras. So what they mean by this is they want to take out trees that are dead around power lines, around homes, and around roads. And I witnessed that this weekend. I witnessed that on Monday. When they were taking out a bunch of dead trees outside of Fresno. And so they threw $100 now, it's $150 million now towards this goal. The PUC would like to do 5-year contracts. There's minimum requirements from the investor-owned utilities, and that's PG&E, SMUD, and California Edison to purchase this electricity. And they're mandated to purchase electricity. The PUC, when I tried to contact the PUC, I got a nasty letter from their attorney. They didn't want to hear from me because I'm a ventured person in this industry. And the PUC doesn't want to do anything but have cheap power. And we're actually making them do the governor's making them do this. And of course, PG&E and SMUD and Edison will be will, of course, make more money on this. But the goal is to keep some more of the biomass plants open. We know that 3 biomass plants will remain open. So those 6 that we're going to close this year, 3 are going to remain open. And there's possibility that 1 more will be open. The big problem for me is there's no use of urban waste. So that's not helping me at all. All it's going to be doing is taking care of the dead trees. And of course, no facilities in California will be restarting. And there's other parts like down in Southern California, there's only a couple plants in Southern California. It probably won't help those facilities. So, there's just a lot of more bad news. New technology, people bring up, hey, we have new technology. This is a Phoenix Energy. This is a little biomass plant. It will produce 30,000 tons a year from this plant. And that's 3 megawatt, I think it was. 1 megawatt. 15,000 tons, 1 megawatt. So the only problem is this is now year 4 for this operation, and it still has not actually worked right. The technology is getting close, but it's not there. And to replace the biomass plants that we've already lost, we'll need 500 of these units built at a price of about $10 million each.
So the fuel you get is essentially free, right?
No, we get paid to take that.
Okay, so you get paid to take it. And so you get paid to take the fuel, you're burning it, and then you want to turn around and sell the electricity, and you still can't sell the electricity.
So
They can't get a good price for it.
we take the wood,
Yeah.
and we do all the processing.
Okay.
And then we ship that materials to a biomass plant. They use that as a fuel, and they pay us right now. Right now, our rate is about $12 a ton.
Okay.
By 2020, I will be paying them about $10 a ton.
Very good.
And it's still upside down.
And they still can't?
And they still can't, right? Because the price of electricity at the end of this
Yeah.
needs to be higher. It used to be higher, and that's how they used to operate. So they need 11 to 12 cents a kilowatt, and right now they're getting paid, well, some of them are getting paid 12 cents, but some are only getting offered 6 cents. So, this is what I'm working on now. To answer your question over what we're going to be doing. So, I want to work with the governors. I was in the governor's office last Thursday, and we want to do an emergency proclamation to use urban fuel. And use that urban fuel for Caltrans as mulch. We've been working with Caltrans for 20 years. They've been promising the world for us, but they really haven't delivered. The
Urban fuel means,
wood chips that we do for
so
biomass.
the stuff we would all put in our,
Yeah, after we chip it and screen it and all that kind of stuff. This would allow the agricultural uses, that space in those existing plants, so there won't be such a demand. And the problem is ag, they don't have the capacity to pay money. If right now the reason ag uses biomass plants is they have to pay a little bit of money to get the materials processed, but then you get paid a little bit of money to bring materials to them. So they're at kind of a wash. If they're upside down on this, they will just take the material out, put it in large piles, and for $250, you light it up. And this is what's happening right now.
the residents get to breathe that.
Oh, it's much worse. It's much worse than that.
Yeah, can you, if you don't mind, discuss a little bit about the pollution that comes off of the various...
It's my next slide. So.
So before you leave this, I'm wondering whether there couldn't be more demand created for agriculture to use their waste as compost or mulch.
So much of it is the stuff that ag uses. It really is shells that we produce in California. It's shells. It's rice hulls. It's shells. or it's the materials that when they're taking out trees and putting in a different problem. And that's where they get their stuff. It's not stuff like, it's not food waste. Food waste, any kind of food component they're doing right now is actually going into animal feed in most cases. So ag is actually doing a pretty decent job, and a lot of those shells go into so many different products that you may not know about. It goes into soap, it goes into cosmetics, it goes into detergents, it goes into car wash stuff, it goes into different products. And they get real creative because they're going to make more money. And that's what they try to do. Waste is waste. When you're paying money to get rid of something, that's really a waste.
Right.
So it's better to get paid for your something than it is to pay somebody to dump it someplace.
So I'm thinking of your your lettuce farmers in Salinas. There's no need for any of that in the Central Valley at all, or they already have it?
No, what they do with that material is they make it into animal food. They'll leave it either in their fields, or they will actually pick it up, and especially if it goes to a processing plant, whatever's left over will then go out and feed cattle. And so they're getting paid for that. Once again, it's a higher and better use. It's better to go to feeding cattle than to feed compost. People say, well, why don't the farmers just grind material up and put it in their soil? To some extent, they do a little bit of that, but if you have diseased trees and you do that, then you spread that disease throughout your entire acreage. There's not a silver bullet here, which is a shame. So if we get this from the governor's office, our long-term would be working with the legislature. We increase our disposal fees, which means that we all will be paying more money. You'll end up, if you start working out the little math on this, it will cost the average homeowner about $3 a year. But it's not. But try to get things through the legislature on a 2/3 vote. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So this picture right here, this is the American Union Elementary School near Fresno, which is of course a non-containment area. And this picture was taken in February of this year. And this is happening everywhere right now. Driving down through the Central Valley, you just see it stacked up and burning. And prior to 2020, there was 9,000 reported deaths in the Central Valley related to lung issues. And there's a lot with that. It's dramatically reduced since that time. With this happening, you're going to start seeing that number all the way back up.
They can just do that?
What's that?
They can just do that? Burn it like that?
$250.
No law?
$250. I was sitting right next to an ag commissioner and they say, we have no other choice. We have no place to bring this material. We can't bury it.
Wow.
We can't take it to landfills. We can't put it in our
I
plant.
don't see this much there as in the problem. I see it coming up one more than I see it in the Central.
It's probably better, still better now than it used to be though, right?
Oh, it's better now than it used to be.
I grew up in Sacramento, and when I was a kid, in the fall, the sky was just always, smoky. It was just gray all the time.
Look like that right there.
Yeah. Oh,
So
geez.
we're going back.
Yeah.
We're going back. So that was a real bummer. It really does suck because we are so far advanced. And right now, Europe is building biomass facilities because they're trying to get rid of coal. Asia's building biomass facilities because they can't. Number one, especially Japan, they got rid of all the nuclear power, and so they have enough energy. So they're looking at biomass as the alternative. So we talk to them about doing this, about shipping materials. It's a long list.
Yeah.
There's a big cost associated with it. But I mean, that might be one of our homes.
You gotta pay to get it there and you pollute the air getting it there. Yeah.
Absolutely. And all those container ships use bunker oil. There's 4,000 container ships that are in, there's 16,000, I'm just reading one of the notes. I think it's 4,000 container ships produce more air emissions than all the vehicles in the world.
Well, I believe that.
So,
But those container ships are,
yeah, they're bad. Bunker oils,
but they're huge too.
horrible. So that pretty much kind of wipes me out on my slides. Sorry to be a bummer.
It's
But-
right.
But, I mean, that's the things that we have to do as a industry. Our focus now is going to be trying to do this ourselves as waste hauling. And bring ag in, bring forestry in, bring cities in, bring all the groups together and say, this is not my problem, this is California's problem. This is affecting everybody, because we all bring the same air.
Do other states have the same problem though?
Oregon does, Washington does, and they're not solving their problems right now.
Because they burn.
The East Coast, on the flip side, the East Coast is completely horrible because they're building biomass plants, because they're in a clear cut. They're taking a lot of the land in North Carolina, South Carolina, and they're clear cutting it to power these biomass plants, which I don't agree with. Yeah, it's not a waste issue. It's a production issue because now they're doing that and they're shipping those wood chips over to Europe.
You know, it's like
It's crazy.
making
It's crazy.
ethanol from, you know.
Same thing.
I mean, it's like insane.
It's insane.
Or clean coal, right?
So I am interested if you know what the technology is and just, are we making progress in like the, however the biomass is burned in terms of the pollution that it creates?
So some of the issues, some of these plants are very old, some of them are really new, and the ones that are old, I mean, every one of them has the correct air permits. Nobody's doing anything illegal, nothing like that. The problem is there's a huge difference between 1980 standards and 2016 standards. And so these plants, these older plants, they go, well, I don't want to go out and change all my equipment out because I don't have a contract. I have no way of getting paid in the future. So if I had a 10-year contract, I'd go spend $20 million and revamp my plants and, clean this up, make this change, and be a lot more efficient. But no one's doing that because no one's giving out long-term contracts. It's a catch-22.
Yeah, but if you stop letting farmers buy their $250 permits and grow.
That's right. And if we do that, the farmers say, well, we're not growing. Because we have nothing, there's no way to get rid of this material.
Question. So what byproducts are there from the biomass process?
So-
Old versus new, and it's carbon over here, or what?
It's not 100% carbon free. It's a carbon neutral renewable, number one. The emissions on the average plant recovers 99%. The new emissions like 99.8. It's really up there. The old plants, they're like 80%. And you get these older plants that are, especially in an area represented by environmental justice suits, and people are trying to shut them down, which for very good reason. They might be employers.
But at the
then,
same time, it's still better than the burning of the ag.
Absolutely. Because I don't know if you guys ever heard of black carbon. Okay, so black carbon's a new thing. You're going to start hearing about this in the next year. Black carbon is what happens very, very quickly. So if you light a fire and you have a very, very fine ash, very quick ash, it doesn't stay in the atmosphere long, it drops down. But black carbon is going to be our number one enemy in the near future. Your districts across California will be looking for that black carbon sources, and you get that in a lot of different applications. Black carbon is when you burn any type of material like this, any carbon-based, so even older diesel generators, things like that, also produce some industry. Also
What about regular fire? Just fire? a fireplace fire or burning your trash in the backyard or burning, well,
You're not in Northern California.
no, I lived in Mendocino County.
Well, I'm from Redding, I'm from Redding.
And for 10 years ago, you were still doing that, I'm not saying that. And believe me, I've lived in Tenaya forever, so the first time I saw fire, I freaked, because that meant the whole valley could go up in 10 minutes. But,
So, like in the
but
Bay
I'm
Area,
saying,
you've already saw.
does that make
They're
Black
going to
Carbon
get rid of
too?
all fires and fireplaces.
Does that make Black Carbon too?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I don't like the winter time. You
What
get
about my
a nice
gas?
rain, you get some fresh air, and then, in an hour, it's all dark and free. That's fire.
The direction is supposed to be for nuclear energy. Why are new biomass facilities not being built?
Because they can't afford to be operational.
With no government incentive?
Yes. No, not at all.
Like you said, don't say that they're competing against.
They're competing against solar.
Program.
So when you compete against solar, you have an incentive. Don't leave yet. Are you leaving?
I am.
No, you can't leave yet.
I can't get out of the door.
One second, okay?
They're locked in.
So I'm going to tell you a different story just because you're going to leave. So in 2010,
Oh, we'll take back our signatures.
in 2010, the city of San Jose adopted a program to get rid of plastic bags. And they were very successful. And they said, hey, Michael, what's it cost you to take film plastic out of your equipment? So we ran an analysis out of our screens, out of our fences, of our bales of material, at our composting operation, in our MRF in San Jose, and at our landfill. We added it all up. It was $630,000 a year. So when the plastics industry says that nobody has to pay a cost, well, that's just a cost to us. There's still a huge cost of wildlife and stuff getting out in the oceans and things like that. So with that said, we have an election coming up real soon, and there's two little components on there sponsored by the American Chemistry Council, which they're not my favorite person.
Is that a petroleum based?
It's an
Oh God,
industry,
yes.
it's an
They
industry
spent $3.5 million gathering signatures to be able to put this on. So it's number 65 is a no vote, and number 67 is a yes vote. Because then they put two ballot measures on there to make it confusing. And with all that said, I always want to make sure that you use
65 is no, and,
so you can use the Chico battery. So
thank you.
you always remember this, our discussion about biomass.
You know, I trained myself, I have bags like you're holding.
Thank
When
you.
I was in
bet.
65 no and 67.
I trained myself
Yes.
in the grocery store before we went my social day.
It's pretty obvious,
By
one is
saying,
trying to.
"Well,
Let's give Ron a love." Thank you very much. So, no on 65.
And yes,
Yes,
I
I'm
do.
67.
Got it, good. And your name is Michael?
Gross is disgusting.
Those disgusting garbage.
Large. That's why he went into this business, he figured he had to make.
Now, we need to know where we go to buy your products if we want to.
705 Los Road.
But I look at
That's the Zanker Road. At the end of Zanker Road, we
At the
have
facility,
Yeah, we have a facility.
we could get compost and mulch.
compost, mold, soil amendments.
Also, yeah, the
sand,
compost.
gravel.
Let me check it out, yeah.
I put my grass in compost.
What's that? 705 Los Road, the very north end of Zanker.
Just good as Andrew said.
Do farmers use, like mulch or whatever to make it so they don't need as much water for the plants?
Some farmers do, very, very few. The wine industry is really good about it. The other portions of the industry are not. They do a lot of cover crops, and they will do some mulches and straw and things like that. Wood, not so much. And so, I mean, that's one of the markets that we've been actually looking at, because we make what we call soil amendment. which is sawdust. And we'll sell them a sawdust product, so we basically go out and retain the moisture in the soil. Sawdust. It's a huge battle. I mean, we got our fingers stuck in everything, but it's,
I would figure if the price of water went up, that the cost that would be, or the price that would be willing to pay for that would go up as well.
well, that's a whole different discussion.
When I buy mulch at Home Depot or something, and they give me the percentage of potassium or whatever.
Yeah,
Do they add to that, or is that just?
yes, they do.